Good morning. So another week, another project. This week we have 4 projects that I'm going to show you the process of. This is like a little entry table. We are going to be sanding it down, painting it, and doing a faux pottery barn sausalito look on it, and then doing new knobs. First thing I'm going to do is take the knobs off, start cleaning, and then I will begin sanding. All right, I'm going to be using my Surf Prep sander. This sander has been an amazing investment for the business. It is efficient and quick, and they make these special foam pads that go over curves like so easily and saves me from so much hand sanding. All right, so I have now sanded and then wiped all the dust off. And next step is I'm going to go ahead and wood putty all the little imperfections. So a lot of times companies will add imperfections to fake wood to give it more realism, make it look like wood. And I get that, but I don't want that in my finish. So I'm gonna go ahead and start putting putty on them, letting that dry while I'm working on the rest of the piece. So I get like the little holes, but I don't get this. Like they look like weird little teeth marks. That, I don't know if that occurs in nature, maybe, but that to me just looks weird. So I don't know. Okay, while the putty is drying on top, I'm going to go ahead and start on the base. I'm going to grab my Surf Prep, and because it is curved, I'm going to use an interface pad on this one. So there it is. And this basically is kind of like a little, I guess kind of like an adapter. So you get your foam, but you can use a regular sanding sheet on top of it. So again, I'm going in with the 120 first. All right, I got the side table sanded and puttied, and that putty is drying. I'm about to start on the 2 side tables here. Same process. I'm going to sand with a 120, then a 220, and then I'm going to putty any scratches and dings and things like that. So everything is clean and dry. Next step is I'm going to sand all of the flat surfaces with the 120, then 220, and then I'm going to grab one of the Surf Prep Pro foams, and I will show you that before I do that. Okay, so I'm done sanding all the flat surfaces, and now I'm going to use my Surf Prep Pro Foam sanding pad. This one is the 1/2 inch thick, and you can see it's very squishy, and this gets in all those little grooves and nooks and crannies and curves pretty effortlessly. And you may still have to hand sand, but this cuts that down dramatically. So one of my favorite tools in the shop. We got everything sanded. Now I'm going to wipe it down with water and then do some wood putty and all the little holes and scratches. Right, fourth and final for this week is this dresser. This is for the client's son, and all 4 pieces that I'm showing you today have to be done this week. So I don't know if I'm crazy for trying to get this all done this week, but here we are. But this dresser, basically I'm going to scuff sand it. We're going to paint it a dark gray. And yeah, so I'm about to get to cleaning and sanding. We are on day 2 of getting these 4 pieces ready for the client. So the plan today is I'm going to sand those drawers over there because I forgot to do that last night. I'm going to sand down all the putty. We're going to prime, and then I'm going to spot check, make sure everything is filled that I want to be filled. That's my main goals. I would love to get a coat of paint on one of these things. So we are actually going to be keeping these knobs, but in order to sand this efficiently, I need to remove these first, and then I'm also going to need to sand these as well. So first thing we're going to do is take the knobs off. Done sanding. Next step is I'm going to sand all of that putty. I've got this wiped down. It is time to prime it. I'm going to be using the Zinsser Bullseye 123 primer. You can get this in a can or obviously a spray can. I prefer the spray can, it's just easier, but you know, it's preference. This is my favorite primer, so I'm gonna go ahead and get going on this. Okay, I had to stop because I forgot to tape off the hinges. So. Okay, so I'm going to take the feet off of the side tables. In order to do that and without damaging it, I'm going to lay it on its either side or top to get those legs off on top of a moving blanket. So let's go. Flexio 5000, and I'm going to be using the paint in the color Linen by Wise Owl Paint. It is a 1 hour enamel. Good morning. We are on day 3 and we are going strong. I am about to do some touch-ups on the side tables and the accent table, and then I'm going to be putting some paint on that dresser. It is time to start the faux wood technique. So here are the things that I'm using. I'm going to be taping off sections at a time. That is really the trick to making this look really good and sleek and not messy. The glaze I am using is Rust-Oleum Chalked H glaze. And then I'm going to also be using a variety of brushes. Some people use brooms. I just use a variety of brushes. This one's probably the most important. It is a deck brush. So definitely have that on hand if you try this. So I hate when this happens, but it happened. So I want to show y'all, when I peeled the tape up, it peeled up some of the paint. Even though it's primed and I scratch tested and everything is fine, sometimes that does happen. So I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'm gonna come back and lightly sand and paint that. Same process over here. I'm just going to do a layer of the glaze, and then I'm going to use the two different brushes across until I am happy with the color and texture. I did go ahead and paint the edges here, so I can take a smaller brush and add the striations. You gotta be really careful not to get the top, because the top is still wet. The beauty of this is it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so like I said, I do this in sections, and this is going to give you your best outcome, the best finish possible. It's not going to look sloppy. It's very easy for the faux wood finish to look sloppy, and we don't want that. We want it to look professional. We want it to look like you walked out of Pottery Barn with it, except this is custom and not something that everybody else has, right? So lighting's not great, but what I'm about to do is this section here and this section here. I'm not going to tape off because I just wipe it off with a wet rag after, okay? I'm going to get it all on there. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to use my brushes. So I'm going to start with this one like I always do. And just slide across. Very easy. I'm going to get this big guy, my favorite, and do the same. And then for any small sections, I think I got this at Walmart. It's a, I think it was labeled as like a chalk paint brush. I don't do chalk paint, but this is coming in handy in those little small detail areas. You can also, if you want to smooth it out a little bit, as far as like the striations, you just go over that with a firmer brush. All right, now I'm going to take that wet rag. Oh, I don't like that. Let me go back over that. There we go. And that's the great thing is if you don't like something, you can just go back over it until it dries. There, you do have a few minutes of work time. And I've even, when doing this before, I've even gone back over. I did a glaze, I top coated it, and then I did it again just to get a darker, richer tone, and it looked really good. So you have a lot of options when it comes to working with glaze. And if you don't get all the little things, that's okay, because we're going to be doing the same finish there, and it just gives it more character. Wood is not perfect, right? Wood's not perfect. This doesn't have to be perfect. But we don't want sloppy. On the top, I do this again section by section, and this has a corner cut, like a 45-degree angle, so I'm taping that angle off and only doing that section, and then I'll do it again over here, and it's going to connect, and it's going to look really nice. As y'all saw, it is very rainy here, but I'm not going to let that deter me. So this glaze was dry yesterday, but it's got because it's so damp, it looks wet. So before I do anything with this, I'm going to put my heat gun safely over it, just to dry it out, because that's the thing with glaze, and this is why you have to top coat it, because moisture will ruin it.